In this video, I thought I would talk about the best outdoor games I played as a child. So we are talking from, let me think, 2000 to 2005. The first game I can think of is Bulldog. This game is where there are two groups with one person, the Bulldog, in the middle who has to catch or tag or tig one person out of the group as they charge across to a designated space of safety, who then becomes the Bulldog, the person who was, tagged. They, as the Bulldog, the caught person, then have to catch or tag or take another person, and so on it goes. Bulldog, catch, Bulldog, catch. Oh, I've just remembered, the Bulldog would have to first say Bulldog, which was the spark that then sent everybody running past the person that was on, or the person that was the Bulldog. I'm recalling a few episodes of the game in my head. Now, I can't remember any sort of interesting stories other than a few sparse arguments between players about whether a person was tagged or not. For some reason, no one ever liked to be the Bulldog, or the on person. I can recall one distinct thing about Bulldog. The game always took place, literally, outside my house, just off to the side, as that was the only place large enough for all the people to play. There was always something so mob-like, I guess. Yeah, like a mob-like excitement in the air as everyone stood waiting for that Bulldog trigger to go off. It was, well, exciting. Dashing with a bunch of other people, friends, to avoid someone else. Then the feeling of victory when you made it to the other side. Yeah, it was fun. That being said, though, I don't think Bulldog was my favourite game as a child. I think that might have had to do with the amount of people needed to play Bulldog. Yeah, I think that might have had something to do with it. And also, it just gets repetitive, Bulldog, after a while. Just, running a short distance, avoiding someone trying to tag you. Anyhow, on to the next outdoor game I can remember. Kick the Can. Kick the Can. This game was one that was played a lot in the cul-de-sac where I lived. I recall the first step was always trying to first find the can. Sometimes it was just, rubbish that we found. So we'd find we would go hunting for a can, we'd find a pile of rubbish, and then within that pile of rubbish there was a can. An old rusty can, most likely, was what we found on the ground somewhere, or in a bush. Or a kid would run into their house and ask their parents, randomly, for an empty can. I'm pretty sure that happened... Oh, sorry, 1 second. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that when that happened, when the kid would have to run into their house, it was mostly beer cans that we were given to play with. Anyway, so how is Kick the Can played? One team with one person who is on. The on person guards the can, while also trying to catch people by calling out where a person is hiding and their name, and then touching the can. If the on person does catch people, they go to jail, and the other people have to try and release the caught person by kicking the can. And so on it goes, and so on it goes, until the on person catches all the people, puts them in jail, and then there is, of course, no one left to kick the can, so that person who was on, I guess, wins. I can actually recall one game of Kick the Can. I was trying to convince the on person to move away from the can as my cousin was hiding behind the wall, sort of waiting, poised to kick the can to release everybody, but the boy who was on must have noticed my eye movement or something about me, because the boy turned, noticed my cousin, caught her by calling out her name and tapping the can, and I remember my cousin walking up to me after she was caught with all this angry bluster, claiming I'd helped the on person catch her. I remember thinking, no, I didn't. I was actually trying to help you, cousin. I guess the moral of that story, don't help people. I'm kidding. Do help people. It was more of maybe a lost in translation deal, I think. There was another similar game to Kick the Can. This was called Fox and Hounds. Now, one of the things about Fox and Hounds is that Fox and Hounds needed a lot of players. So it wasn't played often in the cul-de-sac where I lived, but when it was, everyone, foxes, would just run all over the estate, hide, and then just wait to see if they were found, by the hounds. Hounds had to try and catch the foxes. Caught foxes would be released if a hound tagged them out of the pen or jail. Sorry, no, caught foxes could be released if another fox tagged them out of the pen or jail. There was so much tension, I remember, in that game. Sort of the rush to find a hiding place, the eerie quiet as you tried to not even breathe so you wouldn't be caught by the dreaded hounds. As McDonald's say, good times. Good times. Then there were other games, little ball games that were fun. Kirby was one. That was just throwing a ball at a curb, different ways to score points. Then you would move into the middle between the curbs and try to score more points. But if you missed, the other player could catch the ball and steal your points if they hit you before you made it back to your curb. That was a really fun game. Just two friends throwing a ball at a curb. Others included Wally, kicking a ball, as the name suggests, at a wall. But you only had to kick. You only had one kick to ricochet the ball off the wall, and if you couldn't ricochet the ball off the wall, it was like a knockout game. You were just out. That leads me on to knockouts. Basically, football, score a goal through to the next round. Last person remaining is knocked out. I think there was also a goal tally as well. Now, knockouts is interesting because I remember one game where there was just a girl and myself left. I won, she was knocked out, and she literally just stormed off in a huff. Lol. So loser alert. Don't be one of those. Be a gracious loser. Another game was called Keepy Uppies. This was where people stood in a circle trying to keep the ball from touching the floor as it passed from person to person around the circle. I have a vivid memory about Keepy Uppies. This was outside the back of my house, and I just remember it was night time, and I was in with a group of boys, and I don't know why I remember this game, probably because it was night time, and I was just kicking the ball around, trying to keep it up, head, shoulders, stomach, back, whatever way to keep it up. Now on to some more games that you may not have heard of. A game I now call, looking back, Cola Rockets, or maybe just like Pop Rockets. There was Bee Catching and Knock-a-Door Run. On second thought, most people have probably heard of Knock-a-Door Run. Just knock on a door and run, and that's it. I guess what makes it funny is the person answers the door and you're not there. So as a kid, you just you find that funny. But looking back, isn't that just what people do anyway? Like, you answer the door, you knock, they don't answer, then you end up not being in front of the door anymore because you walk away if someone doesn't answer. I don't know. Maybe it's more to do with the repeat factor. If someone is repeatedly knocking on the door, then it becomes annoying to the person. And then to us as children, oh yeah, we just annoyed someone, how very funny. No, children. No, that's not funny. At least not to adults. If you play Knock-a-Door Run... yeah, if you play Knock-a-Door Run, I think sometimes, you're going, well, yeah, you are going the right way for a backhand. You will be thunderclapped. I will slap the skin right off your face and send you back home to your mother at a skull. These are the ways. Do not test me, children. I think that's how I would react if I was sort of older and a child was kicking their ball. Sorry. If a child was knocking on my door, I think I would come at them, like that. Anyway, onto Cola Rockets, or Pop Rockets. This game was when we would sort of bamboozle or just ask our parents for, I think it was 10 pence or 20 pence to buy a 2-litre bottle of pop, fizz, coke or lemonade. I distinctly recall the bottles would always have yellow labels on them as we would buy them from the local Summerfield. FYI, that shop isn't there anymore. I actually have a story about racing in that shop. I may make a video on that story with regards to the racing. Anyway, we would buy the bottle of pop and just throw them on the ground. Just throw them again and again on the ground until the bottle split and the carbon dioxide sent the bottle of pop, or now rocket, that we as kids thought was cool, into the air with an exciting spray of carbonated fizz spurting out behind it. And we as children, we're there watching this rocket go up into the air. Oh, MFG, this is so amazing! And then 5 seconds later, oh, it's over. So yes, many wasted bottles of pop for when I was a kid, but they were really cheap, so not that bad. Bargain, Lastly, the final game I remember playing as a kid was bee catching. I never cared for this game. Looking back on the game, it was quite cruel. I recall watching kids around this bush outside the back of my house. Now, this bush was called the bee bush, as it, attracted lots of bees. And I remember the bush had these sort of beautiful long purple flowers. It was really quite pretty. Anyway, the bees and children... anyway, back to the bees and children. Kids would crowd around the bush with empty bottles, catch the bees as they were sucking up... Oh, the printer's making a noise. We'll just wait for that. Oh, no, not finished. Oh, no, still going. There we go. So anyway, the bees and children. Kids would crowd around the bush with empty bottles, catch the bees as they were sucking up the nectar, and watch them buzz in the bottle and then release them. Sometimes, and I say sometimes, as some kids would shake the bottle and, kill the bees. Which, as I said, looking back, was cruel. No, the bees were just doing their thing for the world and their queen. And then, snot-nosed children come along and either interrupt them or kill them. Ugh. But it wasn't all bad. It was funny, actually, sometimes, because I would watch these kids run around the bush catching these bees, releasing them, sometimes killing them. But sometimes they misjudged catching the bees. And the bees flew at them and all the kids would scarper and run around. And I actually even remember one kid swatting at this bee who actually got stung. Sorry, not sorry. As they got stung, either trying to catch or swat one of the bees. Quite soon after the kid got stung, that beautiful purple flowered bush actually disappeared. I think maybe someone had complained or was annoyed by all the kids around this bush, and so the local council just got rid of it. As I said, it really was a pretty bush, so it was quite sad. Bye-bye pretty bee bush. The estate owners just removed it. Stung children, maybe a possible allergic reaction, or as I said, annoyance by the neighbours, and it was gone. Thinking about it, actually, the estate owners actually removed the bee bush and also a few other trees on the estate that kids would climb. Now, these trees weren't super high, but they were just high enough that if you fell, you were going to hurt yourself and could snap something. Like the bee bush, a kid fell, and nothing serious, but fell nonetheless. It wasn't me, I promise. I mean, I'm a tree climbing ninja. But he fell, and I think there were 3 trees that we would all climb, and the kid fell off one of them, and they all disappeared. Yeah, I think the 3 trees were removed, and then they were definitely replaced with 3 little green bushes instead, and those 3 little green bushes are actually still there. So every time I go past, it kind of just reminds me of what we used to have sometimes, Anyway, and that's... Oh, laptop's on the go. And that's it, the outdoor games I played as a kid. If you have any favourite outdoor games that you played as a kid, let me know in the comments below, and why they were your favourites. yeah, and with that being said, thank you for listening.